Okay, call to order. This meeting has been properly advertised and posted in accordance with Public Law 75, Chapter 231, also known as the Public Meetings Act. Roll call, please.
Mayor Jim Petty. Here. Clark. Here. Dash.
Here.
Dovey.
Here.
Galloway.
I am here.
Heist. Here. Hesse. Here. Keener.
Here.
Timbers.
Here.
Right.
Here.
And I'd like to introduce our attorney for tonight, Elena. I don't know your last name.
Hyatt.
She's filling in for tonight for Chris, who's on vacation. Number 4 is oath of office for Egg Harbor City Police Officer Benjamin Springer.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Ladies and gentlemen, members of council, this is Benjamin Springer. He comes to us with a plethora of experience, both in the military and in other police departments. I'm going to read off a short list of some of what his certifications are. He served in the military, as a police officer from 2009 to 2019, correct me if I'm wrong, members. He also worked at the Atlanta County Police Academy as a drill instructor, PT instructor, firearms. He most recently worked at the Brigantine Police Department, and much to their dismay, he wanted to come over here. He had nothing good but good things to say about him, and was not surprised that he would want to come somewhere where it was not just an exam, where there was some work to be done. His certifications do include, he's a firearms instructor, he's a physical training instructor, he's a field training officer, and he's had classes such as the FBI Advanced Criminal Investigation course. Everybody that has worked with him in the time that he has been here, it's his second week. He was officially sworn in on March 3rd, so he's been with us for the last 2 weeks. Everybody that's worked with him has been thoroughly impressed with his work ethic, his knowledge base, and just his general attitude about police work. So I am very thrilled, and I hope that he is thrilled to have come over to Egg Harbor City.
Nice to meet everyone. Thank you to the mayor and council, as well as the chief of police and our administration. Excited to work here. I'm excited to serve the residents and visitors to our city.
And I would like to thank the chief. She's worked very hard to staff the police department, and we all know there's been a shortage with police officers. And we're continuing to push to being fully staffed. We have a couple irons in the fire, but I'm very happy to have Benjamin here, and I think he's going to be quite happy with this other stuff.
I do have to say that, yes, we coached Benjamin. I'm not beyond coaching from other police departments, but it is kind of a musical officer thing. But yes, so we are very, very happy that he has landed here in Egg Harbor City and have him here for a very illustrious career.
Alrighty then. Let's get the show started. Okay. I state your name.
I, Benjamin Springer,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the same,
and the governments established
and the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
the office of Egg Harbor City Police Officer
the office of Egg Harbor City Police Officer,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Thank you and welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Is it Ben or Benjamin?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Thank you.
We got you.
Okay, number 5 on our agenda is to approve the minutes, February 27th, 2020.
Make a motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Any public comments? Number 6 on our agenda. Any public comments for agenda items? Going once, twice? Okay. Number 6A.
I left off, I'm so very.
It's a, you know, it's not asking you to speak yet. It's a little surprise. And I'd like you to come up front, Madam Mayor. Yeah. I'm gonna give you a little taste of your minutes. So everyone knows that Lisa created the wall for the firsts in Egg Harbor City. And there's a lot of people up there. And we're gonna add another name to them. Surprise to her. So Mayor Dr. Lisa Jimpetti has made history in Egg Harbor City, New Jersey, as its first woman mayor, setting a high standard for leadership, dedication, community improvement. Her journey in public service began in 2006. When she first ran for city council.
Here they come, here they come. They're on their way.
Made it a little smaller so they all fit on one. Her commitment to the city and its residents was evident from the start, as she successfully served 2 terms as council member before taking the next step in her political career. In 2012, she ran for mayor and won overwhelmingly, a testament to the trust and confidence the people of Egg Harbor City placed in her leadership. Since then, she has continued to serve with honor and distinction, now in her 4th 4-year term, making her tenure over 12 years strong. Throughout her time in office, Mayor Jimpetti not only focused on governance, but also prioritized personal and professional growth, earning both a master's degree and a doctorate. A reflection of her dedication to lifelong learning and leadership. It's not shaking for some reason. I'm not.
Shouldn't be.
One of the hallmarks of her administration has been transforming the Egg Harbor City Lake into a profitable and well-managed venture. Under her leadership, the lake has become a beloved summer destination, attracting thousands of visitors and providing a recreational space that enhances the city's quality of life. Education has also been a top priority of Mayor Jimpetti. She has played a key role in overseeing significant improvements to the city schools, including the Egg Harbor City Community Schools, the middle school, and Cedar Creek High School. Beyond infrastructure improvements, she has remained actively engaged with students and faculty, fostering a strong connection between city leadership and the next generation. Mayor Jimpetti's influence extends beyond education and recreation. Her leadership has driven major infrastructure projects and financial improvements for the city. She successfully guided the restructuring of the Egg Harbor City Police Department and the completion of Rittenberg Manor, a key development in the city. She was instrumental in attracting the new Wawa, providing new convenience and economic benefits to the community. One of her most notable financial achievements was leading the effort to sell the city's utilities to New Jersey American Water, a move that allowed Egg Harbor City to eliminate all municipal debt, securing a stronger future financially for the city and its residents. Throughout her 12+ years in office as mayor, Mayor Jimpetti has remained dedicated to community progress, overseeing countless projects that have improved the city's infrastructure, economy, and overall well-being. Her legacy is marked by strong leadership, visionary planning, and unwavering commitment to Egg Harbor City and its people. Today, we proudly honor Mayor Dr. Lisa Jimpetti by adding her name and picture to the wall she initiated to recognize women's accomplishments in Egg Harbor City. Her leadership has paved the way for future generations, and we thank her for her service. As we celebrate her achievements, we look forward to the continued positive impact she will bring to the city in years to come.
This was quite a surprise, sorry. Was quite the surprise, and thank you very much, Joe, for thinking about it, and I know she wrote down something like a possible place for me also, but thank you, very nice, I do appreciate it.
And coincided with Blank Sheet Press,
Yep.
which we didn't know about ahead of time. So
So,
I want to thank Meg for coming up with the idea. So thank you. So next is the mayor's comments.
60. Alright. So, I think everyone should know by now, we did get the EV grant from the NJDEP, which I know you're happy about. Thanks, I think you and Jody worked on the grants together.
Jody did it.
Jody did the grant, thank you, Jody. Could you hear? We already had our new officer.
Yeah, she gave me that.
I'm here, I can hear. Thanks.
I would like to recognize a former councilman who passed this week. Condolences to the Rundio family for their loss. Mr. Rundio was connected in every imaginable way to Egg Harbor City, and he unfortunately passed away. We've been working on the lake opening. We have, you'll see in front of you tonight, or you were emailed, the new prices for the residents. The committee got together a while ago and we spoke with some residents. And we decided that there will be a resident price that they had requested last year. Mason looked it over and felt that it was
Yeah, Meg sent it to me yesterday.
okay. Right on money. Mason's a lake person too. We are purchasing equipment. We have a pavilion this year that we're going to put up in the front instead of the tents, which just blow over. I think we ordered like 5 of them last year. Did hold a managers meeting. We have enough managers to staff the lake, and our supervisor is coming back again this year. We have a staff meeting scheduled for the 14th of May, and we will be fully staffed. And we have the cleanup day. Well, first of all, the cleanup was on Philadelphia Avenue last week, was done by Alpha Phi Delta for the Coalition for a Safe Community. Many of you may know them as the frat house on Atlantic Avenue, but hopefully you don't, but they did a great job. They got 7 bags of trash and 2 bags of recyclables. They did from the 0 block to Deer Street. So we're thankful for that.
Was this a first for them to go out and do that?
Mhm.
Right.
You know, the groups in Egg Harbor who are signed up for clean communities, they have to do 4 cleanups a year. So the coalition we have already done 3, and they just pick them on 4, so we're good. We can get the mini grant for $200. And the big cleanup is scheduled for May 3rd. So I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of participants out. I did send a save the date. But more information will be coming out soon. And one thing I did want to bring up, some of you may have seen that New Jersey American Water wants to have a Water Fest Saturday, June 7th, and council did approve that, but
Contingent on the chiefs
contingent on the chief.
with the roadblock and the,
Richie and Chief Aylwin to look at the street closing, and they decided that it really wasn't a good location for that. In the event there was a fire and the fire truck or police had to get through for an emergency. So they're requesting to use Lincoln Park. So I would request the council approve that and waive the fee.
so
I'll make a
moved.
mo-
Is there a motion? I'll second that. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
They need a bigger spot, they can use the Crusaders field.
Opposed?
Yeah, but I think they want.
They want to be more
Oh,
visible.
more was, gotcha.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Opposed? None? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Anything else, Mayor?
That's all, thank
Okay,
Just one thing, anytime we waive fees, I do a roll call.
okay, roll call.
Sorry. Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Okay, number 7 on our agendas,
It's good to be safe.
unanimous.
Okay.
Piece. Number 7 is our council committee reports. We'll start with Councilwoman Hesse with safety, code enforcement, and Rotary.
Nothing for safety, but code, Jody and the code department have started a trial for the online scheduling system for the rental inspections. You probably remember me saying the last time. It's just for the month of March. It's a trial. Jody, are there any updates on that? Have you heard how it's working out?
It seems like it's going well so far. It's just they've been slowly giving it out, so just trying to get people to use it now that, letting them know that they can use it. I did just talk to them about trying to open up April, since we're already halfway through March, people might want to start scheduling for April. But I mean, personally, I think it's a nice, program and a good way for people to be able to go online, schedule an inspection, and even for them to keep track of the inspections, and it confirms, you can send emails and things like that. So, we were kind of just saying it eliminates that, oh, I thought you were coming at 10. Well, here's your email confirmation said it was at 11 type of thing. So hopefully the more, we use it, we're kind of just figuring out exactly how to set it up. So we've just been doing a few people at a time just to make sure, that it works the way that we want it to. So, but so far so good.
Thank you, Jody. Appreciate that. We're working towards transitioning to online scheduling completely for 2026. It's much more convenient for the landlords and will free up the code department to work on other important issues that they have. Another thing is the code committee is also in the process of interviewing 5 prospective code enforcement officers. And we're also at the April 1st meeting, the committee will be meeting for the first software company of 5 in order to decide whether to stay with the same company or not. In October, we'd like to make that decision. And currently, we're working on a trash and recycling ordinance in order to move forward with a proactive initiative in the coming months. In the meantime, the city will continue to follow the guidelines outlined in its current trash and recycling collection contract with the ACUA. All residents and property owners are required to follow the ACUA guidelines. Rack cards can be found in the hallway here at City Hall. The ACUA does not collect construction debris or electronic waste. The construction debris will be taken to ACUA if you don't already know, and the electronics are brought to the Public Works. They've done that for quite a while, but a lot of people don't seem to know, because I know the code department is always giving out red cards to notify people that they have TVs out there or computers or whatever. They will not, no one will pick it up on the terraces. There will be red cards, as has been for quite a while now. All residents and property owners are required by the state law to recycle. Covered trash receptacles and recyclable materials are to be placed at the rear of your properties on the terrace after 5 p.m. This isn't anything new, I'm just kind of a refresher here. The night before collection. Trash and recycling receptacles are to be removed from the terraces no later than 8 p.m. the day of collection. That's all the trash check that I have. Now, for Rotary, the Easter egg hunt is coming up. It's Saturday, April 12th at 11 o'clock. There's a rain date of April 19th. And the information can be found on the city website, Facebook site, and the Rotary's Facebook website as well. And that's all I have.
Okay, Thank you.
Joe, can I ask a question?
Sure.
You said, 5 code officials, is that 5 applicants?
Applicants.
5 applicants,
Yes,
okay.
excuse me, I misspoke.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah,
clear.
no,
Yes,
no,
yeah,
no,
5
no,
applicants
no.
to, for how many positions?
One.
For one position. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, we'll go to Councilwoman Galloway for property and for sustainable Lake Harbor City.
Nothing for property, and we do have a cemetery meeting scheduled, right?
24th.
Jody and I and Jerry met with the state forester this week online. And we got the go ahead to issue an RFP for tree maintenance. So they've been very flexible with us since we lost the second grant. And we're gonna work with the state on getting some of that work done as soon as possible. We have some high-risk trees that need to come down, and we have some trees that direly need maintenance. So hopefully we'll be able to get that advertised soon and review the bid specs and the bid offerings. I have a meeting tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, with the Atlantic City Electric. They're scheduled to come in and do maintenance under the telephone wire, under the electrical wires. So we want to talk to them and see what else we can get them that would fit into our program. Sustainable Lake Harbor City is planning our second annual Arbor Day on 3 to 6 p.m. on Friday, April 25th at Peace Pilgrim Park. We're looking for vendors, especially those involved with the environment. Or
It's on the agenda.
Any energy savings plans or anything like that. So if anybody knows anybody, we would like to have 2 food trucks this year, one for savory and one for sweet. If we can do that. And we're also doing our second annual photo contest, and the theme this year is trees throughout the seasons. Information is on sustainableehc.org website, and the deadline to submit is April 15th. Brenda Ruth is heading that up again this year. And we have I'll be posting a flyer on the websites and on the social media pages. We're having a spring environmental series this year. Some of our members wanted to bring that back. Our plans are to do a rain barrel workshop, flora and fauna of the Pinelands. A lot of people don't realize that we have unique things that grow in the Pinelands that don't grow anywhere else in the world. So we're going to talk about that, and the Pinelands Preservation Alliance will do a rain garden program. They're going to speak about a program that they have available for people who live and have low-lying areas where they can put in a rain barrel. A rain garden. We're also going to do a mountain laurel walk at the nature center, and we're going to have a potty party. And we'll be posting flyers and all these
As
events.
opposed to a pot party.
I changed it to potty. And Jody Ryan and Chief Alwyn and I attended our first online meeting for the climate change vulnerability study, which will focus on things like localized flooding, forest fires, extreme heat and cold, and so forth. It's an 18-month program, and we'll meet, and some of our city employees will be asked to attend when it's their area of expertise. We're also doing something, I don't know if the council's aware of this, Ryan is, we're preparing a green development checklist that we will place in the building department for development packets. And the checklist really just encourages developers to consider green building practices when they build a new project. And it'll also include links to resources that are available, like incentives and stuff from the DEP and the BPU and the local utilities and so forth. Because a lot of times there's funding available to bring down the cost of doing some of these improvements. And we'll have a resolution on our next agenda.
For that, for what you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the mayor's committed to the Monarch Butterfly Pledge, and it includes several actions. One of them is a resolution which is on the agenda tonight. And we plan to, if anybody knows where I can find what is it? milkweed, milkweed plants. They're hard to come by, especially native milkweed. So we wanted to plant some milkweed around town, adjacent to wooded areas, so they're out of the mowing area and they can just grow wild. And you mentioned the plug and play grant that we got. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Next, Councilman Wright.
No, the only thing,
Playgrounds.
only thing I have for parks and playgrounds, we'll talk about it when we bring up on the agenda.
The adjustment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Councilman Timbers or license and ordinance, which is
And Eric.
big topics recently.
Yeah, there are several topics. We're gonna have a meeting tomorrow. We're gonna discuss several items. We might have some legislation to present at the next meeting. That meeting will be tomorrow, will be here at 6 o'clock. I'm just thinking maybe if it's Meg, is it possible we could set up like a Zoom in case any of the committee members can't make it?
I'm sure we can. I
Okay.
mean,
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Well, Jody has a link. It's a recurring meeting.
Yeah, we were just able to put, when we had it and had a Zoom, we were just able to hook the button over there and Zoom locked on. She hooked it up for us. Yeah.
I have it if you need it. You want to be at the meeting.
All right, thank you. So Iron Head, they're gonna meet on Monday at the Roundhouse at 7. On Tuesday, there'll be a land use board meeting. Again, that's at 7.
Okay.
That's it.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Dovey, Public Works.
So Public Works, the only thing I have to report is that we had interviews, the committee, Councilman Wright, Councilman Dash, and myself interviewed the 3 finalists for the superintendent of public works position that we advertised and had some preliminary interviews several weeks ago. We reached agreement on who we preferred, and there was consensus on that. And I'm in the process of doing the due diligence before we make an offer and move forward with that position. That's all. More detailed report of activities, Jerry, Mr. Barbera could do at near the end of the meeting if that's appropriate.
Okay. Yeah, why not? Jerry, did you want to speak on that?
Sure, hi. Sorry, I'm a little frustrated. I drove 2.5 hours to get here. That's not on the White Horse Pike. So this week, most of the week was taken up by cleaning up piles and piles and piles of branches that came down during the windstorms. So we went through all the terraces and I'm not sure if we got them all, but I'll make sure tomorrow morning early. The other thing is we put up the banners and we're on a regular rotation to sweep Main Street every Monday morning. Make sure that it stays nice and clean. Not much else. No snow. Thank you.
Hopefully not. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Councilwoman Clark.
Nothing to report.
I hesitate to bring this up, but I did get a call from A Academy about the cats and this woman, Nicole, that handles Egg Harbor City. And she, based on my original conversation with her, and I haven't had any since then, other than the call the other day, and I'll refer this to you, Councilman Dash, that she was asking if we want her to start trapping some of these cats and do what we had discussed on email. So what's your thought on that?
I can touch base with her. Trapping has continued since the last meeting. Some other cats have been removed. We've come to a consensus that any of the feral cats will be able to stay there once they're neutered, ear tipped, and vaccinated, so they'll be safe. Any of the tame cats will be removed, which is what has been the process. I did go out yesterday and take a look at the area. I've been keeping tabs on it. I see that the shelters were returned right away. I was happy about that. The feeding stations are staying clean. I didn't actually, the couple times I was there, I didn't see any cats at all. But I know there are some there because they've been coming into our hospital for spay neuter. Some of the feral ones even are not going back. There was one that had some extensive medical issues, needed additional surgery, so the surgery was done at our facility. And it's being kept in a private residence, but probably won't be returned. So we're working on keeping the area clean, keeping the wildlife away from the cats. And we're gonna just continue to do what we've been doing.
I think part of the educational part out there is so the residents can go out and put food out that are out there all day.
Yeah, I agree. And also that the residents don't abandon their household cats outside,
Right.
because that's how it all gets started and that's how it continues.
Well, thank you for our interaction on.
I
think we
appreciate
came
our,
to a good conclusion.
I appreciate our conversation.
Can I just interject? Steve, can you tell me, do people come out there and drop off cats too? I mean, is there like a web?
I don't know of anything where people drive out there to drop off cats.
Mhm.
My gut feeling and from what I've been told is it's typically the people that live in the apartments, they have a pet, they'll get a kitten. And then they'll just get tired of it and they'll just let it out and leave it out. That's how it started and then the population grows. So the TNR programs are meant to cut those numbers down to hopefully eventually eliminate the colony altogether. But so yeah, I don't think people are like driving over and leaving them. But I think there's a lot of apartments there and they do allow pets. So I think it'll continue where people will just leave them out.
Because I just know if it's, you know, out there on websites or anything, people are going to drop them off, I'm sure, you know.
Well, it is
Is it out there?
it is against the law to abandon animals. Egg Harbor City has a HELO. The Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office has HELOs. We see quite a few animal abandonment cases coming to court now. So I would just remind everyone, it's never okay just to throw an animal outside. The animals that we're talking about are animals that have reverted to being feral, so they can't be placed in homes. That's the ones that will stay out there. Anything that's tame gets removed.
And I just wanted to say one other thing. I did talk to risk management about this and he was waiting for the insurance company to talk to him about it. That's all. Just so we're not responsible if something happens. There's children out there in those apartments. And I know myself as a kid, I would go in the woods, you know, and I worked in Pleasantville at the Humane Society. And those little kittens, I mean, as cute as they are, I mean, they're afraid. And I'm just, you know, in case they hurt a child or something,
And
you know, I don't want
keep in
us to
mind
be
that-
responsible.
And keep in mind that this particular feral colony is one colony of hundreds and hundreds of colonies. And there's feral cats all over Egg Harbor City.
Oh, I'm
This
sure.
is just
I'm
one that has
sure, and
kind of brought
that's
some
why-
attention.
Yeah,
And and I commend the people that are spending the money, the time, the energy, caring for them and working to get those numbers down. And they are way down.
And that thing's been out there since at least 2012.
really that long. Wow.
Because the only reason I know that, I think it might have been earlier that, when did
Do
you,
the cleanup.
when did you start the cleanup?
That was way back in two
Are you
thousand
cleaned up out there?
seven.
Oh, so 2007, that thing's been
Yeah.
out there because
Really?
Yeah.
the Scasaders would clean up the village.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I took the kids and they started wandering in the woods and I didn't know what it was. So I called the mayor and said, hey, there's this a hotel, I'm like, there's shelter thing, I'm like, is this, should we go this away? And she's like, no, that's for the cats. So that thing's been out there for at least since 2007.
Yeah.
Well, my wife and I moved out there today and it needs cleaning again.
Yeah. It'll be here May 3rd.
Keep in mind that there's a lot of trash in those woods.
Mhm.
The trash isn't from the cats.
No.
The trash is from all over that blows in.
Right.
So just to be clear, you're gonna talk to Nicole tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll keep coordinating with animal control and with the caretakers. Cape Atlantic Cats has come up with additional funding. The Humane Society of Atlantic County's come up with additional funding and Alley Cat Allies has already put out $350,000 to help with these projects.
Good.
So
Thank
we'll make sure they stay funded and that if there's resources they need, we'll continue to help them.
Great.
Again, for your point, people dropping cats off, I can't tell you how many cats have been dropped off out by my house.
Oh, my
Oh, yeah.
God. I'm in the middle of town.
There are no residents out by me. There's no one. And Mr. Joby can attest,
Mhm.
there was a cat dropped off at my house, and where does he live now?
In my lap.
In your. We found him.
Yep.
In the middle of a blizzard. My kids cried, bring him in. My husband's extremely allergic. He could have died during that blizzard, bringing that cat in the house. And Mary and Rick took him and now he has a nice home to live in because we couldn't keep him. But, you know,
I don't even mean that. I just mean if people
Right.
hear about it, then it's
I
like,
mean,
well, this is
yeah.
the place to, you know, to
it's
just drop
it's a
them.
sad thing that
you
people
know?
take the animals and
Yes,
keep them to
I
a certain
agree.
point and they get rid of them. If you can't take care of them,
Yeah.
don't take them. Their responsibility. The minute you adopt them, they become a part of your family.
They
Yeah.
should.
Usually it's the lake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot at the lake
You
too.
know, one.
Yeah, that's the drop off.
One thing.
For any
that
kind of animal that they catch or wing.
would- One thing that would help is if the village departments mandated that any animal that's allowed to be kept there is spayed or neutered.
Mm.
That would help a
And,
lot, because at
um,
least they wouldn't be reproducing.
Right.
Spayed or neutered, and they had the, what is it, when they
Microchip.
microchip in them,
Mhm.
so that way they can get traced to who.
That's a good.
That could be something we talk to them about.
Yeah, that would be helpful. That would cut down quite a bit.
You really think most of it is coming from there?
We work with, lives in an apartment in Hamilton, and she said in her lease, they can't feed stray animals, they can't. So I'm curious, like I don't know who should reach out to Phillip Village and ask them if they have anything
Yeah.
in their lease like that. But they were quick to say, get off my property and then call code. to
They just
report
want to
the
wash their
mess.
hands of it.
Yeah, sure.
So something should be in a lease.
Yeah, because really they're kind of
No,
perpetuating it.
Yeah.
All
That's
right,
a
we'll,
good.
we'll reach out somehow and talk to them. Donna, did you have anything?
No.
Okay. Okay, Chief of Police, report, number 8 on our agenda.
Quick numbers for you. In the last 2 weeks, we've had 1 burglary report, 4 fraud reports, 3 simple assaults, 3 thefts, 8 motor vehicle accidents, 2 pedestrian stops, 15 traffic stops. We've had a total of 18 summonses issued. That includes things like dog at large, traffic citations, 6 arrests, including DUIs, 9 business alarms, 8 residential alarms, 24 private rental activities, 3 domestics, 21 EMS incidents, 9 firearms applications, 7 follow-ups, 119 property checks, 8 public service calls. Other things that we have done in the last few weeks, Captain Perna and Detective Rosenberg have been active with both the Atlanta County Prosecutor's Office and the New Jersey State Police. They were participants in 2 search warrants that were not in our jurisdiction. However, they were working with them. I can't really divulge much of what was seized, but they were very successful. Once I do get the go ahead from the state police and ACO, I will share that with you. But it's just a testament to the work that Rosenberger and Captain Perna are doing. So there is work that's being done in town, and in turn, we go help them in different jurisdictions as well. In terms of things that we have done, Captain Perna and I had a training session today regarding officer misconduct, just going over how to shore up our policies and make sure that everybody's on the straight and narrow. Officer Cantz has been in crash 1 for the last week, and this is the 2nd week, and we'll be done with that. I participated in a weekly chiefs in service. As Councilwoman Galloway said, participated in the climate vulnerability meeting, and Jody and I reviewed our enterprise fleet to go over our police, public works, and code enforcement vehicles, where we're at in terms of maintenance and selling and purchasing other vehicles. Other things that we have done, Captain Perna, Sergeant Mangle, Officer McKenna, and Officer Springer and I last week were able to go to the Sprague Elementary School for Read Across America Week. Last week was Dr. Seuss's birthday. So we each read in some of the 3rd grade classrooms. Captain Perna and I did a particularly wonderful rendition of Green Eggs and Ham, where he was Sam and I read the other part. The Edgewater City Community School had us come over. They have a club called the Random Acts of Kindness Club, and they provided the PD with specialized keychains that they made. So we have those, which the officers have those. We had the new hire, Mr. Springer, come on board. We're very excited about that. And as the mayor indicated, we are in the process of trying to find other applicants. We are going through our civil service list, which is pretty much almost exhausted in terms of people who are disqualified or have not responded, but they want to continue working. So I was able to go to the Illinois County Police Academy and take a look at the alternate route candidates. Alternate route candidates are folks who have taken it upon themselves to pay for their police academy training. So I went to take a look and see what we had there. There were quite a few who expressed interest, so we will be reaching out to them to potentially set up interviews with them to see where we're going further with that. Other than that, the police department has registered for the DEA National Take Back Initiative, which is April 28th. That's a pill take back, or medication take back day. So any residents can come to the Edgewater City Police Department on that particular day. I don't have the times, but I will report that in the next one. Of course, anybody can come at any time and put them in our pill drop box. No needles, no liquids, but any kind of pills or capsules can be disposed of in that drop box. And also next week on Wednesday, March 19th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., we are doing another community cares event in coordination with the Church by the Bay. There will be hot meals provided from the Piccadilly Inn, and the New Jersey courts will be there to assist with any expungement information, as well as Operation Rise from New Jersey State Police for any Narcan information and resources. And we also have clothing set up there, so anybody who needs any kind of clothing can come and get that. All of that is free to everybody. So that's next Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that is all I have this week. Any questions?
I have a question. A resident had asked me if it's possible to put one of the radar trailers on Route 30 coming into the city, or is there no space for it?
Well, we can't really do that. We had it before, but because it is a state road, they do not really care to have bright flashing things on there. And we got a smack on the wrist last time we did that, because we did have it on there. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment that the former councilman, former fire department member is also Chief Perna's father-in-law, and condolences to his
Mhm.
Captain.
grandfather.
Isn't it my house?
Yes, yeah, so we did make an appearance there, and
No, he lives on.
we were all there
Randy,
to
just like our
support
soul was on my
Captain Perna and his family. This is Perna.
Maybe it was so
Came and
many
delivered donuts and coffee from Mrs. Rundio because she was so very grateful. But yeah, so we have always and will continue to be very supportive of our police officers and their family members in times of need and otherwise. So, but thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you.
They're on the corner of.
Mm.
Okay, number 9 on our agenda is CFO report.
Nothing, nothing for me,
Yeah,
thank
no
you.
report. Okay, city clerk, number 10.
Mm.
Engineer.
Sure.
Ryan.
So I'll go down the list and run a couple of follow-up things. So Archway Green, the contractor has started filing for permits. We have a bunch of submittals we're reviewing for the structure and some other things. So we're just waiting for materials to come in. They'll start on site. They may have actually already started, to be honest. Jump down to Buffalo Avenue, the PSE package was submitted, so we're just waiting for DOT approval to bid that project. Still expecting to be able to award that in the spring. It's probably best as a summer project because it is the block immediately across the street from the Buffalo Avenue School. So we'll probably try to time that when school is out rather than do it in the spring. Lake and Campground Project, the Pinelands, we submitted everything to them 3 months ago now, 3+ months. So still waiting to hear back on that, unfortunately. City Hall improvements, we have some preference type items need to be selected, lock sets, push bars, window configuration, stuff like that. So the design's moving right along. We're just trying to finalize that, bid that next or two. Atlantic Avenue pedestrian, we got our project extensions submitted, so we're just waiting for confirmation from DOT. New Orleans Avenue subdivision, we got notice that this was going to get approved like a month and a half ago, but their process takes at least 2 meetings, which are spaced by a month. So we should have a formal notice of that approval soon, and then we'll be able to set property corners and get those properties advertised for sale. That's the 3 buildable lots right across New Orleans Avenue from the community school. The IBEX stormwater project, we have had 4 people working on that for the last, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. Once we got all our survey in, so we're trying to make our submission
by like Tuesday of next week, try to keep that on track. I was actually out there on Tuesday pulling manholes and inlet grates so we could get the last bit of information.
Arago or?
Arago, Beethoven, it's pretty long stretch. The longest stretch is on Beethoven. It goes from Philadelphia Avenue to 12th Terrace, San Francisco Avenue, so in that neighborhood. Arago goes from like Havana to 9th Terrace, I think. So similar areas, but when we met with the prior public works director, those are the indications of the areas where they had the most failures and the most incidents of, having to come back and try to address problems. That's the area where all of the old city style inlets are. If you're familiar with them, it's literally just like a metal top with most of them have two little circular lids. They haven't been installed since like the 30s, so they've been around for a little while. So they are all supposed to be replaced as part of your MS4 requirements over time. Every year we just sort of chip away at it. So this is a chance to get almost all of them. Actually, I think we are able to get all of them as part of this project.
Right, could you tell,
Burger Street, and, Buffalo, there's that storm drain is sinking.
Okay.
I
I
don't,
mean,
that's part of.
We can try to incorporate it in this, but we went with as much as we could, as quickly as we could, just to try to meet the timeline. With the state, so we have submissions into DEP to IBank. I'm waiting for some information back. But we're doing everything we can to try to keep it so that we can do this project twice under FY25 and FY26. Still waiting on confirmation for that, but that's the plan.
Okay, cool.
I just had a question about Atlantic and Philadelphia Avenue, that part. Is it just because of grading or is there a storm drain there on the
Up by
west
the
side?
railroad tracks?
Yeah,
So
is that grading?
Don't drain it.
there are two inlets that are connected to each other and to nothing else. And part of the complication is we either have to cross a state highway or railroad tracks, both of which are incredibly complicated. So the rest of it, we were able to sort of collect and pipe north along Atlantic. There's a swale after that pedestrian path ends. So anything we can get down to there, we can evacuate. Everything on the other side of Philadelphia Avenue goes into a pipe which meanders all the way out and finally lets out on the other side of the Key-Rec fields. So yeah, it's a long way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've not, when they came in, the state repaved Route 50, we tried to get them to put a pipe in across there. And they essentially said, well, there's not enough time. We just told us you're doing the project a couple of days ago, so it's not really our fault, but yeah, essentially they refused. I mean, even for them, it's complicated because they're working immediately adjacent to the railroad tracks. So there's other complications they have to work with New Jersey Transit.
So that probably won't be done.
There's not like a good answer there. I wish there was.
I was just curious. I didn't know whether it had.
Yeah,
the
the only other possibility would be to install links or perforated pipe with stone. That would create additional storage and some additional infiltration opportunities. There's not a lot of space to do it.
Down Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah, right, exactly. Starting right at that inlet and going sort of northwest on Atlantic. There's not a lot of green space there. Ideally, you don't want to do that under the road, but you can sometimes. I mean, if it's continuously an issue and, it's something we need to address, then we can take a look at it, but there's no easy answer. Sure. Weisbecker demo, I'll skip for now because that's on the agenda. Key-Rec improvements, we did make a pre-application meeting request to the Pylons Commission for an after-hours meeting. They came back with a request for some additional information. So we're still trying to get some stuff together for them to answer that, and then hopefully we can get something on the calendar to meet with them. Tennis and pickleball court reconstruction, the base painting's done. We're just kind of waiting for the weather to improve for them to do the surface course. There are a couple of low spots that hold water now. I think Gary Hess has
them all.
almost as much paint as there would be with the tennis courts at this point, but so we'll make sure that they address them. They have an opportunity to do it when they do the surface course, but if you're not paying attention, it's hard to catch. So I might talk to them about doing it with two separate layers, doing it like a thin leveling course and then doing the surface to try to even out some of those belly areas, but we'll address that as we get a little better weather. The brownfield redevelopment areas, we still don't have a formal notice from DEP on those, but we do have, I guess, an email for now. And word is out because I have been getting phone calls from everybody, everywhere. So people are definitely interested in those sites in those areas. Yeah, they recognize there's opportunities, with those programs. So lots of interest. And then the on-street parking restrictions, we are working on developing a list for that. Just don't have anything to share quite yet. So the last thing I'll say is the appropriate day for the mayor to be recognized and get a plaque. Because the two of us
I
trekked
thought you were gonna
through
put that picture.
like ankle deep water, across Phragmites and a bridge that nothing is connected to
Wasn't a
anything
bridge.
else, like the whole thing was floating. So that was a bit of an adventure today. But credit to the mayor to setting that up and, going through that exercise to help an Eagle Scout, work with their project and stuff.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about the project?
Sure. So the Eagle Scout approached, there's an old grave site out there, at Clark's Landing. I won't get too specific on the location, but the headstones there are from like the early 1700s, like pre-Revolutionary War period. At some point they were stolen and then returned. They're now laid down and cast in concrete, over where the grave site is. So an Eagle Scout approached and said, well, I'd really like to put a picket fence around it. And there's a local historian and sort of amateur archaeologist who said, you might not want to dig holes at the grave site, it's usually not a great idea, which is a valid point. So we met out there and sort of talked about how they could set something up. So we came up with the idea that they'll do a little like 4-sided split rail fence around the gravesite. And they'll just be sitting on little like wood pads instead of having to dig holes down into the ground. So they'll just sort of be ballasted and self-bracing. So you won't need to disturb the earth at the site at all. And then there's a little pedestrian bridge, which is in terrible shape. So they're going to sort of refresh and repair that. I sort of advise that because I'm doing everything by hand, you're just restoring the clear, you're not, building a boardwalk that's 10 feet wide or anything crazy. We shouldn't need any permits for that. Based on looking at the structure, it had to have been there since before freshwater wetlands permits and all were even a thing. So it would be the structure essentially be grandfathered in, you're allowed to repair it. So that's sort of the route that we advised was just repair it as it is and everything should be fine. So that's his project plan going forward. I don't have a time frame for that, but that's the idea.
So it's the Clark family. There's
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, we couldn't
I
read
think
the
there's
names,
two, but it's the Clark, like
yeah,
Clark's Landing.
original.
The original
family
people.
that landed there.
Yeah.
Get it, Clark's.
Is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm?
Yeah, they were like super creative with names.
Yeah.
How was the beach there?
Oh,
It was
really?
nice. Was no relation.
was there-
All right, so
Hey, do you just want to mention real quick we met with John Satcher and
Yeah.
Chris Orlando?
sure, yeah, I got a couple more things.
Okay.
So Jonathan Sager will be coming back, I believe, for another time extension. He has expended great effort and costs of his own and through funding that the city is able to receive. He's still working through the Pinelands Commission and now he's working through DP Solid Waste. But he has spent a ton of money and has made a lot of headway. So he's expected to be done with the Pinelands Commission in the next like 30 to 45 days. DP Solid Waste, they're still doing the investigative portion that you need to have as backup to the closure plan. So they have an idea of what they want to do, but they have to finish with the borings and all of that. So I mean, I strongly suggest the council entertain that extension request when he comes in. He's, seems to be the real deal. He's put a lot of time and effort into this and he's got a good hand. So that should be probably coming up in the next meeting or two, I would assume. I think his extension is good through April. So he requested a call with the solicitor's office to just sort of introduce and explain what he'd be coming forward with in the near future. Last two things I have are the Weisbecker demo, which is on the agenda. The low bid we received is 157,000. I think the first bid we had, the low bid was 160, and then we rebid it. I checked, it was 140 or 139, something. So we bid it this time, it's at 157. That's the number.
It's not going to get any better.
Right, you're right. You're either gonna do it at that cost or we're not gonna do it. Those seem to be our options at this point. Nobody local bid or picked up. The low bidders from Scotch Plains. And the next closest one was like still an hour and a half away. So there just wasn't any interest locally for whatever reason. But we did have 4 people picked up and 3 people bid.
So the question to Jody, she's still in there? Jody, you still there? I think we lost her.
She just leaves.
Really sad.
I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
needed to unmute.
The 157,000 for the demolition, do we have that in place?
I think we had 125 for the demolition of the water treatment plant. Let me just double check real quick.
For my kids. That could be our school today.
Yeah, we had set aside 125 for the old demo, so I mean, it doesn't have to be specifically for that, so it's not drastically more than that. We had more in the ordinance for other projects, so. There,
So we could do the 157.
yes, I mean, it'll take away from something else, obviously, but at some point we could just do another ordinance when we run out, you know, if other projects
Okay.
still wind up being done.
I didn't see the bid, so what does the bid ask for? Because it's ready for demolition. Everything's disconnected.
Yeah.
They don't really have to do anything, but knock it down and haul it out.
Right, so the demolition includes everything from the foundation up, no disturbance of the ground. There's a pretty significant elevation change at the back where the foundation is. The ground level is a couple of feet above where the concrete pad is at the rear of the building. So this includes bringing in fill material and leveling the site. So it's essentially level from the terrace towards the street. And then I'd suggest we work with a landscaper or somebody to get some topsoil fertilizer and seed and just let it be grass for now. Because there's not really much else that we can do.
And the mural has to be removed. We cannot demolish.
Yeah, because those are all plywood, so Public Works could take them down.
They just get screwed.
And then we would put a lien on the property for that amount.
I mean,
That would make sense to do, right?
yeah, you can, if I don't know that there'll ever be a way to recover it, but.
But after everything's said and done, we're gonna get the property one way or another.
Correct, the city will end up foreclosing on it.
Right. Okay, is there anybody questions?
I was just gonna clarify, I just looked at the bond ordinance we had 125 for restoration of the wetlands and we had 40 for the demo. So we had 165 set aside for
So
the
we're-
open water plans, but
we're
we
above.
did have that much
Yeah.
set aside
Mhm.
we could use.
Okay, any questions about that? Do we want to move on it?
It's on the agenda.
It's on that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can wait, I just wanted to bring it up here.
I know I jump ahead of you.
So next we'll talk about 19, agenda, which is the amended redevelopment plan for 801 Philadelphia Avenue, which is the boat manufacturer that Dr. Chalky knows. Number of years ago, I would say 6, 7, he came in and requested a redevelopment plan to grow medical cannabis in a portion of the building. The city permitted that at the time. So he has a redevelopment plan that allows for that. And he came in and said, I want to do that now. And we said, well, that's nice, but now it's not for medical. It's, you know, other things. The rules have changed, the law has changed. So we have to update your plan to reflect what the current law is and, you know, the fact that there's classes for different things and licensing and what have you. So he understood that. We started with this process a while ago, probably about almost a year ago at this point. So he's pretty anxious to move it forward. My suggestion is to introduce the ordinance tonight. We would look to adopt at the first meeting in April. We had a meeting with him probably 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago now, where we discussed the need for him to clean up the site and to do, take some measures to, you know, improve the legal character of the site from what it's been for the last, probably since before. So he, I think we left that meeting with some different ideas and he moved forward rather quickly, but didn't really communicate to us what his plans were. So if you go behind his fence, he removed almost everything along the fence line with the exception of a brand new boat. But simultaneously obscured it with that screening, so you couldn't really see what he did behind it. So I talked to him about, you know, trying to get that screening a little tighter, get rid of it's kind of lumpy and wrinkled. I talked to him on Monday morning about adding vegetation from the end of his property down to about where the building is, because he still has mold storage and other items up near the fence line past the building. We said we'd really like for all that to be visually screened. I think I talked to him at 11 o'clock. By 11:30, he called me and said they'll be in tomorrow. And
Cool.
they're there now. If you drive by. He did install them on Tuesday.
Is
So,
there any plantings outside the fence?
well, that's, so he planted,
That's what he
I
did.
didn't count them, but he planted 25-ish, 30 maybe. Arborvitaes that are 6 feet tall now. And he was assured they're a fast growing species, so he was told by the end of the year or early next year, they should be 10 feet tall.
And he's gonna maintain them and water them, I'm sure, right?
Arborvitaes are pretty hard to kill, so he should be okay there. But I mean, so we could go back and memorialize, what should be where. We could also make additional requests if that's what council wants to do. And essentially go back and say, look, here's where we're at, you've done a lot to this point. This is what we want to see before we adopt your ordinance. But the ordinance process, the adoption and some amendments that are going to need to be introduced to it is going to be a month or so. So my recommendation is to do it now, to introduce it now. We can sort of fix it at the next meeting if that's what's needed then. And then we'll be ready to adopt at the first meeting in April.
Anybody have any
Assuming it
comments?
follows through.
I do. First, I'd like to say, you weren't at the last meeting, right?
I was not.
Okay, because at the last meeting, we did bring up about that material that he has on there,
Yes.
that none of us were for it, pretty much. So tightening it or not, it is,
So
I don't think it's gonna fly.
would the preference for it to be removed or?
I think it looks good. We went by there
prefer
today.
it?
Looked really good.
We had mentioned, I guess maybe we could take
I
a
think
vote on
at that time
that.
it was kind of all over the
It was-
place.
I think at the time, it looked like somebody's kid went up there and
Well,
put it
that's,
up.
yeah, I think when he
And the
first.
wind
come
will
up,
take it down?
One thing every 20 or 30 feet.
More.
And actually, when I drove by on Tuesday, because he had all the plants sitting in buckets and I took some pictures, there's actually a guy out there doing every couple of feet, trying to stretch it out. And
And when the wind comes, it'll stay and they'll tighten it, I guess, huh?
ironically, he put it on the correct side of the fence for visual purposes, but the prevailing winds are actually behind it.
Right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. how
Don't worry,
long-
Kim, it's coming down eventually.
Oh, it's coming up.
If God has his way, it's coming down eventually.
Yeah, nothing lasts forever. We're supposed to have those things.
Yeah, it'll look great in the
So like
meantime.
I said, I think we sort of left that meeting with different ideas. He kind of ran out and took everything down. I talked to a bunch of his employees. He got rid of at least 10 boat molds. They kind of asked me what we did to make him clean up because they didn't expect him to ever do that.
You said,
And there's people that work for him who wish to remain anonymous. I mean, he did, if you poke around the gate and look behind, he removed pretty much everything along the back of that fence line, the buses, the boat molds,
the front, right? The
Yeah.
back, he probably just pushed it to.
yeah, there's a bunch of
They're in the
stuff
back.
going around back.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the tractor and trailers look that great.
Yeah, well, great, so there's a couple trailers, actually, I think he tried to use them to screen the side, which is,
A
probably.
nice
not
red one
the
you can
finest
see
idea.
from Liverpool Avenue. Just look down Liverpool. It's a nice red, big tractor trailer there. It's beautiful.
So I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, those are the things we can talk to him and have him address over the next month.
Mhm.
I know for him, he has pulled multiple building permits over the last year and has been working towards opening the facility. So it's now getting to the point for him where like it's about to become a financial issue for him. So I know he wants to do, he doesn't want to do more than he has to, but he's obviously shown some level of cooperation and willingness to acquiesce to some of the things we're asking for him.
It would
So,
also be a financial thing for the city too,
yeah.
once he starts operating.
Correct. You get
And,
2% of revenue. If he grows $1 million worth of cannabis, you'll get 2% of that.
Right.
In addition to, that he's still building boats there too. But yeah, I mean, so it's not, what he's requesting is not like a huge departure from what he had previously. I mean, frankly, he could have made the argument that I already have approval to do this. I know the details have changed, but I think I should be allowed to move forward. But he did, sort of go along with the process of amending it. So it was a relatively minor step and we've gotten reasonable concessions at this point. If there's anything else that we want to go back, we just need to present him with a tangible goal. We can't abstractly say, well, it needs to look better, it needs to be this or that. We need to say like this is what we want. Move these tractor trailers, we need to do this, we need to do that.
We talked on the phone and I had suggested that he's gonna start, manufacturing the cannabis.
Mhm.
Over the next 5 years, if he could make a certain amount of improvements to that property over the course of 5 years. And because that's about how long that screening will last.
Yeah, that's fair.
And these, code enforcement's gonna have to keep track of that.
He's a difficult one to squeeze things out of later. So I mean, we can put conditions on and hope that they happen over the next 5 years, but now feels like the time.
And my,
So that'll be,
my suggestion would be to have code go in there and see what the violations are back there.
Well, so they, I know the building department has been in the building and in the yard like extensively.
That's building, not code
And well,
enforcement.
correct. So I know code has been there just to take some pictures and whatnot. I mean, I frankly, I walked in the yard. I wasn't there 30 seconds and the security guy came out. Cause he's got all of the cameras and all that up.
yeah, I was gonna say that too. a
Outside,
business.
Nope, you have to be invited.
But you could see it from the outside, what, you know, what the violations are.
So to Dr. Draghi's point, and he's kept going back to this, he said, it is still an industrial site. It's zoned to be an industrial site. It's been used as an industrial site for, you know, certainly longer than my lifetime. So it is, you know, he's doing things to clean up, but he's still gonna build boats there and he's still gonna maintain
Right.
holds and, you know, and conduct an industrial use there. So, you know, it's sort of a compromise of, okay, you're allowed to do your industrial thing here, just hide it a little better and make it look
Right.
a little nicer out front and, you know, that's.
Like the way it looks now, I'm fine with that. You know, I mean, I think he made a hell of a stride.
Significant improvement where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I came in today, I actually went slow and came by. I was going slow, Marcel, did you hear that? I looked and there was a lot of things. There was, like you said, the new boat, but the lift thing wasn't there.
Right,
A lot of
everything
things
else.
Right.
were moved, and that was my big thing. It was an
Right.
eyesore. Every time you walked by, you drove by, it was an eyesore. So a lot of that stuff was gone, and I could see through the green curtain that a lot of it was moved. So
Yes.
hopefully, you know,
So you don't, if it's moved, wouldn't it be better not to have that green curtain up, or you still?
I don't
better
think
to-
legally we can make them take the green curtain down. It's his
Right,
property. That would be, you know, like if somebody put the slats through their chain link fence, us
Yeah.
telling them, well, we can't see in your yard, you have to
Now,
take
if the
it down.
thing
It's their
takes flight
fence.
and
They
starts
can,
flopping in
Yeah,
the wind, then
yeah.
we can.
Yeah. If,
Yeah.
Then you can tell.
right, if it becomes, you know, it starts flapping and, you know, the cars can't see because then we have an issue there, but I don't think we legally can say you have to
No.
take it down, unfortunately.
Correct.
But we didn't really
We
give
didn't-
them a specific thing to do, like
Right,
Ryan said.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
we
he was trying to
put it up,
generalize
Yes,
kind of-
but, you know. As long as he maintains it and it's presentable and it looks better than it did, which it does right now. You
Yeah, the
know,
city attorney was gonna speak a little bit on that, on our
When
ordinance.
it gets to the ordinance, okay.
Yeah.
You have anything
Did
else, Ryan?
confirm that the fence is 10 feet from the right of way?
I
think
did not.
that says that in the,
I'll bet it's even more
That
than,
has been
it's
there
more than
forever.
that. I
Right.
It
think.
could.
I know, because what I'm saying is there's the right of way where we can plant trees, because that is a
Yeah,
high
so
spot.
the right of way is 100 feet wide along the lookout. So
Okay.
there's plenty of room.
There's plenty of room.
Yeah, if you're talking about like the grass area, there's way more than 10 feet in between his
Yeah.
fence and the asphalt line.
Well, we might be able to get some trees in there, some
Yeah,
canopy trees.
that's another
That would be
possibility.
good.
You have anything else?
No, that's it.
Do you want to mention about, I wasn't at the last meeting, I don't think you were, but Jody, when we met with the Jesh McClelland and
Oh, the bike path,
test, yeah,
well,
or it looks like we're gonna get, this isn't Ryan's project, but I've asked him to
Yeah.
sort of
trying to help. move
come
this.
along with us on the journey,
Yeah.
a very long journey.
Yes.
But it looks like we're gonna get the Jody, it does look like we're gonna get the extra money to finish the project. We'd requested it, and I'll let Ryan take over from there.
Yeah, so they came back with a request for additional engineering fees for extensive soil testing that's required because it's a linear facility. Normally, when you build a basin for every 10,000 square feet of area, you need to have at least 2 borings, you need to go down and save people at the bottom. When you're doing a linear facility, you have to do a test pit, which is like with a backhoe where you dig a full open hole that someone can go down to every 2,000 feet, and then do a boring every 500 feet in between. So when your project is 2 miles long, that's a lot of test pits and borings, and they're all in tight locations right next to the road. So apparently they weren't planning on that, so they came back with a request for additional engineering fees for that, but they do have some confirmation from the Pipelines that their proposed configuration of having a pervious paving shoulder with some infiltration area sort of adjacent to it, underneath of it, should be acceptable to deal with water quality and volume.
This is the bike path from here to the lake, not the one
Correct.
from the train station.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, it's from Deeswick
So many
Street to the
bike
Lake of
paths.
Philadelphia Avenue.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of environmental complications. They had to do threatened endangered species work. They had to do cultural resource survey work. I mean, it crosses a stream, it, ends at the lake, so there's definitely a lot going on, but yeah, it sounds like you're gonna get additional construction and additional design assistance funding to continue to advance the project. So,
If we could just.
And the bridge is-
Shovel up there.
exactly. if you
The
just
bridge
break
is
ground.
getting done too.
Yeah, so a different engineer working for the county, French and Perillo, is doing the county bridge design. They reached out to me and said, yeah, we're gonna use that closed road next to the lake as a storage area. And I said,
What closed road?
there is no closed road by the lake. What are you talking about? And they thought, they saw the snow fence at the end of the road leading to the campground, and they thought that was like permanently closed. And I said, yeah, you're not doing that. So what we discussed was the airport, the airfield site, is gated, there's access, there's room that's cleared back there, they could use that as a staging area. For the project, but they cannot block the campground entrance, that would not go.
When is that?
They do not have a starting date yet, they're still trying to put together bid documents and stuff. They're not gonna close it down, they're gonna do alternating traffic. So it will not be the 17-minute or whatever it was detour from last time.
I wasn't going that way.
I hope they're not gonna do it during the summer when the lake is open.
I don't believe,
Probably.
well, I mean, it's gonna
Usually
be
when they do.
Mhm.
probably a 9-month or more project.
Yep.
So some portion of it will happen, I'm sure, while the lake is open, but
Labor Day is in September.
yes, I don't think you're gonna start by this.
No such thing.
Yeah, I'm not-
They'll start Memorial Day.
It'll snow.
That's when they'll.
Yeah, they don't have a schedule quite yet, but they're just trying to finalize what the bid documents will be, which will include things like the staging. So I told them that the campground road, like if they needed that for a temporary staging area sometime between like November and beginning of April, like that would probably be fine. Other than that, don't touch it.
I would, the Klondike Derby's out there at that
Okay.
point too.
Yes.
The Boy Scouts.
Well, that's, so what we talked about is when the campground is closed, the city has that gate off the lake entrance where you can still get to the campground grounds. So as long as it's not the high volume of traffic of
Mhm.
campers getting back to their sites, we could probably just let people out in that way for whatever is going on.
And how are they gonna repair this bridge? Do they have to?
They're gonna replace the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Bridge
So-
goes finito.
They had,
So
they were
there's-
doing
Well,
boring.
affect the lake.
They're gonna
My husband-
demolish half of
Yeah.
it and build half of it and then demolish the other half, and build the other.
Yeah, they've been boring out there, because that's what Gary said the other day. He said, they're boring at the lake. What are they doing? I'm like,
That's for the repair.
That's been under design for like 3 years.
And they did store on the other side by the field.
But
And they're gonna replace the infrastructure that holds the other side of the lake back.
Yes, yeah, they understand that that's there and is functional and required.
Well, it's
So-
not totally functional. It's
Well, yeah,
all
yeah,
rotted.
in theory, it's functional.
Right.
So, yeah, they were made aware that that needs to remain. Because originally they said like, oh, we don't need those stop logs anymore. We said, yes, you do. So, yeah, it's been a long experience, but we're getting there.
Okay.
You got a lot going on, huh?
Yeah.
Took up a lot of time.
Sorry, yes,
I was like, you email, yes.
yeah, I'll do that too.
Yeah, I gotta get to Nashville very short.
Where?
Going down to Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah, again, I go every say.
That's the,
Right.
yeah. right.
Okay, number 12. Do you have anything to add, Elena? Till we get to the events? Okay, thank you. Number 13. Motion to approve.
Yeah, there you go.
That's Bend to the Shore. bike
Yeah,
tour.
that's a bike run. We,
Okay.
they've always been on the agenda to approve them. They come from town.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
The chief signed off for, just to make you aware it's coming through town.
Motion been made, seconded to approve. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes. Motion passes. Use of Peace Pilgrim Park, Sustainable Lake Harbor City Arbor Day celebration.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Number 14, adopt mayor's monarch pledge.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
I don't necessarily think a roll call.
Yeah, I was wondering
unless-
why you.
Yeah.
I think
We're
it
not
takes,
spending
if
any
we're
money.
spending more money to make,
No.
like through the budget, like. If you had to purchase certain things that are
Okay.
to
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 15, a resolution amending the Egg Harbor City Lake Park fees. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Meg, do you want to explain that just a little bit?
Yeah, I talked to,
Let's
The
get the
chair-
second first,
That's like,
and then we'll go to questions.
that's like,
it wasn't, he just asked me to clarify.
yeah, clarify before we make a
Yeah,
motion.
council, Chairman Wright of the Parks and Playground, we discussed a few meetings ago when Chris Orlando was here. And they came up with some ideas, and he said to hold off till he reviewed the fees. And, there was. What the only change in the fees is there'll be a residential reservation fee. The price for a resident to reserve a non-grill picnic table will be $15. And the price for residents to reserve a grill picnic table will be $35, and that will be 7 days a week. And through the resolution, it says what the ID will be. I don't know if you want me to read that, what the ID will be required. And when you can reserve, the dates, when you can reserve, and it just lists how you qualify, but mainly it's about giving the, because last year
Right.
there was a problem with not a problem, but some concern about the high when we raised the fees for the picnic tables. So this was a fee that everybody was pretty much in agreement with, and there was some meetings, like speaking with some of the residents that work, and they were happy with it. So I think council, our committee chair, Wright, felt this was a good thing to do in his committee, and so the city attorney prepared these changes to our fee schedule.
And this is a reduction for residents.
For residents only,
Mm.
and it's have to prove that if you read through it, I did, you do have the ordinance, or not ordinance, resolution. They have to, it's not just 08215 zip code, you have to live in Egg Harbor City, and it has to be booked at City Hall Monday through Friday. It can't be booked at the lake, but it has to be booked in advance.
Mhm.
And then you'll get a receipt that you produced at the lake. So they know you did, and I think through it. I guess I should have read it, but residents may reserve no more than 3 tables at a time. And there's no it's what's available, like. You can't,
Right.
so, because people do come out and.
Yeah, they get
reserve
it sold
that time.
out by the time they get there.
Yeah, so it's first come in, there's no refunds, but it's all written out in the resolution, and. I think it addresses what happened last year, so
Mhm.
Is
hopefully.
it date specific?
Date specific would be, you can start reserving April 1st through August 29th.
I mean, you don't have to say, I'm gonna go there July 22nd
Yeah, but I mean, they can come to
Yeah.
City Hall and reserve.
for that date.
Yep,
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah, that's what they do now, but there's no resident price.
That's why there's no refund. So basically, if you do schedule ahead of time, then.
What if it's sold out?
Well, if you,
It's
guys
not- If they're sold out, it's not available.
Right.
Well, it's based upon.
like, if they come April 1st and say, hey, I need the picnic tables for
July 4th.
July 4th. Now, it pours and rains July 4th, you're kind
Yeah,
of,
can
so-
reschedule.
you can reschedule, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So if they
Yeah.
have a certificate that they
Mhm.
bought
Yeah.
it that day.
Yeah.
And they go there and they're all sold out by.
No,
No,
They're reserved already. They're all. Yeah. Mhm.
see,
They're in
we're,
the process, like the people
It's a
come to
process.
Mhm.
City Hall and reserve tables.
So there'll be coordination.
Yeah, so if it's sold out, they're not gonna get to book a table.
They'll
But,
be scratched out on the paper or whatever they do to.
yeah, there is no refund. However, if the lake is closed due to rain,
Right,
they
reschedule.
can
Reschedule.
reschedule.
right.
And we have a schematic that we use. It's actually my husband made it. And it has all the tables on it and where they're placed. So when they reserve, it gets highlighted.
Mhm.
So anything, and it goes in the bag and it goes to the lake and then they work off of that.
Mhm.
If they make it Friday, because they pick up all the bags for the weekend on Friday. So if it's made on Friday, they'll have their own schematic, they'll highlight it, the girls at the tax office. And then they'll take a picture of it and send it to the lake, so there shouldn't be any
But
confusion.
there's gonna be no residents
Mhm.
sold at the lake.
Right.
The key is you have to come to City Hall.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
can't,
They
we
can't
can't
do
do
it.
that.
No,
If you want a table,
We
you have
want
to pay the full
discount,
fee.
yeah.
Right.
And we're gonna get it out there. We just have to get this approved.
Right.
Okay.
To get things printed up, we're gonna get parts. printed up.
And one thing I would like to see next year is to make a resident ID. And we'll have to think about this
Mm.
and start it like early, not wait till, what
That's
we're
for
in
next year.
March, yeah, for next year. Cause that's how, like, I used to work at Smithville Recreation and, that's how the resident would come in, would take their picture. It would go into a, database sort of, and then everybody at the pools would have access to it. So the resident will come, their information's there, their picture's there, and no problem at all. I would like to see it get to the point where we can sell residents picnics at the lake,
Mhm.
but we're not there yet.
How's the internet out there?
But this is good.
I think have a-
I think this is good for now.
Oh,
How's the internet at the lake?
All right, we have a.
yeah, that's.
What internet?
There
at
is
the lake?
Okay, we had a motion, we need a second.
I seconded it already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion made, seconded, roll call.
Clark. Yes. Dash.
Absolutely.
Dovey.
Yes.
Galloway. Yes. Heist.
Absolutely.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener.
Yes,
Timbers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
okay, number 16 on the agenda is a resolution to authorize the bid for the tree maintenance and removals.
Motion.
Motion, second,
Second.
motion been made and seconded, questions? You have a recommendation from the committee of the high, or the bid that you want to offer?
Yeah, but we're going out. They're going out to bid.
Oh, go out to bid, okay. I'm sorry.
So I'll do Clark. Yes. Dash.
Yes.
Dovey.
Yes.
Galloway. Yes. Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener.
Yes,
Timbers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
okay, number 17 is resolution to participate in South Jersey PC for electricity.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor? I mean, roll call.
Clark. Yes. Dash.
Yes.
Dovey.
Yes.
Galloway. Yes. Heist.
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener.
Yes.
Timbers.
It's this
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Okay, number 18 is a resolution to award the demolition contract for the Weisbecker property at 135 Philadelphia Avenue.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Questions?
So the low bidder. Yeah.
Mhm.
So our resolution would be to award.
Award to the low bidder Frank Galbraith and Son Excavating and Demolition from Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
For
$157,000.
No, that's insane.
Okay, roll call.
Clark. Yes. Dash.
Yeah.
Dovey.
Yes.
Galloway. Yes.
I
Heist.
would guess.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener.
Yes,
Timbers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
the motion passes. Number 19 is introduce the ordinance number 1, 2020-25, amending redevelopment plan for the 801 Philadelphia Avenue rehabilitation area to permit certain cannabis uses.
Motion.
Second.
I got a question. What is certain cannabis? There's only one kind of cannabis.
Agriculture versus medical, I believe.
There's no difference anymore.
Yeah, our attorney Elena is going to speak on this.
I mean, there's really no difference no more. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's different classes of.
Yeah, there definitely are different, because there's 6 classes.
but marijuana is marijuana.
In terms of, this ordinance isn't gonna permit him to do like a retail store there. So I think that's really what
Okay.
that references to. I just took a look at this ordinance. I made a few changes. I wasn't sure about some of the references to, I think that the ordinance before, referenced.
Medical marijuana.
It was definitely medical, but it also referenced, I think it grouped some of the kind of classes together.
Mhm.
And I wanted to make sure that the ordinance was specific to the types that are in the medical statute, but also the new recreational statute too. So you'll notice that I made some of those changes, just making more references to the statutes. I do think that there's some more opportunity to go over some of the conditional use requirements, because we want to make sure that they're not setting the property owner up for failure.
Mhm.
Because I noticed a few in there that I don't think are necessarily going to occur. such as that fence issue, typically, you know, you can't necessarily tell a property owner maybe certain requirements for a fence, but they have to meet the ordinance and they also would have to meet, you know, their redevelopment plan. So if the redevelopment plan says that it needs a 10-foot fence of a certain kind, they're gonna have to meet that.
Mhm.
So if, you know, there are preferences, or if that property owner, you know, for a fact they're not gonna meet that, then we wanna make sure that the ordinance meets that. And then the biggest changes,
On the property.
and then the biggest change was
Not
reference
the-
to your ordinance regarding tax. Because the prior ordinance made reference to certain agreements by parties. That I don't think is an appropriate way to move forward, especially you wanna ensure that you're treating all businesses in town the same. And also you already have a tax ordinance in place, so we wanna make sure that the redevelopment plan reflects that.
Okay, so now this particular ordinance is specifically to this property.
Yeah,
So on our conversation the other day, you were talking about another ordinance that would be necessary for us to pass in the future to cover everything in the city as far as cannabis.
yeah, so I took another look and I asked Meg to send me any of your ordinances in place. And you do have the tax, which I think is what, when we spoke, I wasn't sure if that was in place. That, you know, is paramount. It's pretty important for the city, and also to ensure that that ordinance meets the statute, which I reviewed it and it looks on par. So I think that there's probably other opportunities for review of your other ordinances, like the local license process probably could be a little more clear. And just to make sure that things are flowing in the appropriate manner. Now you have, you know, a few applications under your belt. There's a little more experience with cannabis with other municipalities. Just to make sure that everyone's comfortable with it and it makes sense to both the applicant and also the city. And like today, I had someone inquire about adding a license to the return license, so I had reached out to the attorney and you're looking into that, like maybe we should update our ordinance to reflect an amended ordinance, like if you are, this particular business has a license.
Right.
And they want to amend it to add another license, what the procedure would be, we have no procedure, so. We need a
Yes, we
procedure,
spelled out.
so we need
Yep.
to probably, not, that has nothing to do with this,
Right,
but.
totally separate.
Yeah, but you also wanna make sure the redevelopment plan, you know, references any ordinances that are gonna, you know, either be in place or to make sure that they adhere to those, so.
Okay, so we have the motion seconded.
I just got one more question. I mean, this, maybe and this might be a stupid question, but is this for growing marijuana or smoking it? Because it says use, cannabis use. To me, cannabis use is smoking the cannabis.
Use is like this.
Like a use is like a retail store.
To me, it should say growth, but that's,
Like a use.
It's.
yeah.
Just prevents like smoking on the property.
Right, that's what I was.
Yeah, they.
Yes,
Yeah, certain kind of.
it should say grow, not use, is what I'm saying.
Cultivation.
I think that
manufacturing,
Chalky got, you
processing.
explained, Chalky got approval before this was
We don't have a
even,
copy of the ordinance to read the ordinance.
before cannabis. The
Right.
cannabis
There
was.
was no recreational
Yeah,
cannabis.
there was no recreational.
Right, his redevelopment plan has provisions.
Was-
for-
Right.
Yeah.
Or medical, to sell
Like
it,
6
yeah,
years ago. So there, at that time, there was no state standard provision
Correct.
for revenue share or
right.
use classes or any of that stuff.
Because you could
So
sell it and grow it in two completely different spots. Yeah, you couldn't, yeah.
Right, exactly. So his redevelopment plan just totally does not agree with what the law is now.
Mhm.
So this is just like an update of it, like, okay, you're doing, for all intents and purposes, you're doing the same exact thing you're trying to do before.
Mhm.
You just need to
Right.
fit within the laws as they exist now versus when it was originally.
No, it's just the wording that's confusing me, that's all.
Yeah.
I've, okay.
Go ahead.
So the ordinance that there's a motion and a second, is that ordinance already been amended to the amendments that you were just talking about?
Yeah, so I already made those amendments that I discussed.
Okay,
But there are still some amendments that I think are gonna be needed to be made, especially like it references a section of your code that I just like, I'm not sure exists. I did look, I just wanted to double check with Meg so we can clean that up. And like I said, some of those conditional terms, like the fence issue, also probably needs to be
But we
addressed.
can
before
introduce it
You
and
can
then amend
introduce
it
it,
before.
So you can make changes after we introduce it.
Yes,
That was my, okay, thank you.
yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, I know the screening, yeah, item K. It talks about the fence. It said it shall be screened along street frontages. And also where the site is adjacent to the occupied properties. Where are these arborvitae's going?
They're already in, they're along they're along Philadelphia Avenue,
On
from the end of the fence to essentially where the building stops. Because that's where he's gonna continue to have storage, like up to the fence line, plus or minus.
Because it continues to say, screening shall consist of a double alternating row of 8-foot tall arborvitae evergreen trees planted 5 foot on center. Wait a minute, it did say there was another part, I missed it. And shall be screened along, oh, here, the
That's-
fence
that's
shall
what
be
it is.
screened along all street frontages.
Mhm.
And also where the site is, so isn't it door on the side or?
Deer
Deer
Street is
Street,
along the
yeah.
other side. So that's,
Is
that's
there
something
also
that
going
we,
to be?
those are the kinds of things we need to flush out to say like, it needs to reflect what it is that
That's-
we're doing and what it is that we're requiring exactly.
And this being in the ordinance, could be something we say to him,
Yeah.
that
we
it's
can-
coming up for a vote.
Right, this is what the prior plan was, we're willing to make some revisions, but you know, we
Right.
gotta keep working with this.
Was that in the ordinance before?
So that was in the original,
Mhm.
the medical cannabis, from what I recall at the time. Was a lot more limited, so like it was gonna be a large portion of the site and building, like a larger portion than he's doing now. I think since it's become so prevalent, it's not quite as forecast to be quite as.
Yeah, because when he brought up Murphy was just getting into the office and this was just all brand new, so there was no 100% exactly what could be done. It was just a bunch of rumors at the time.
Elena, that's not something you put in on this.
No,
Okay,
that's
change
the original language.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion and it's been seconded. Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes,
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse.
I just want clarification. I know this is just an introduction. However, what did we say that we're gonna make sure that he does follow the ordinance? Correct?
He has to.
Before we do anything.
I mean-
Yeah, so we'll make sure that we flush out, so that the ordinance matches what it is that's being required exactly at this time. Because I think the other thing it says is a 10-foot tall fence.
Yes.
Which was a requirement when it was medical cannabis under the prior rules. I don't think we want a 10-foot tall fence there.
Is that a state law or we're just making that law?
The 10-foot? I
Yeah.
think that's what it was when it was medical only.
Okay, because Egg Harbor Township, I don't think has a fence around nothing.
Yeah.
Because they're so
But-
far away from.
No, it's sitting right there on the main strip. And the houses are right next door.
Right.
But when this ordinance was written, it was medical and the stipulations were very.
That's what I'm asking, yeah,
limited.
yeah. Is there a fence that had it? Yeah.
So much distance to a school, a church, a daycare. So a lot of those,
Mhm.
since it's legalized now, that's changed. Like they can be within so much distance to
Yeah.
Sprague because it's now legal.
Oh, no, I'm not, yeah, I'm just talking about the fence.
Saying the
Because the one in Egg Harbor Township when it was built, the church is right next door, the school's right down the street. So, I mean, that's.
He's also.
Oh, shit, believe me, since I was 12.
2 classes too. So if the state law requires that fence, he's gonna have to do that in order to get his state license.
So I have Hesse's clarification, which we heard.
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes,
Timbers,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
okay, motion to advertise notice of adoption in the Hamilton Gazette, March 19th, 2025,
Actually, it's gonna be April 10th. I thought I sent out an email.
April 10th.
Yeah,
you did.
It's not there.
for the public hearing,
The public hearing on March or in
April
April.
10th.
My office is like 2 streets back.
So when will we advertise it in the
It'll
Gazette?
be advertised that date, March 19th,
March
for the
19th.
public
Yeah,
hearing.
we're set up.
Okay,
Yeah, right next door.
so a motion,
So moved.
Second.
motion made, seconded, all in favor? Opposed?
Mhm.
Motion passes. Okay, bill list.
Make a motion.
Pay the bills.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, questions on the bills? Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heiss,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, mayor comments?
Just thank you again for your presentation. I do appreciate it. It's very nice of you. Just a funny cat story. I'm glad the cat situation's good. Steve and I have always talked about neutering and all that jazz, and I'm glad it's getting done. When I was little, my grandmom lived next door to my Uncle Pat's shop. It was Welding and Radiator, if you guys know, but there was always feral cats out there.
Mm.
But these cats didn't have any tails.
Mm.
So I would stand like a statue and I try to catch a cat because I wanted one. So I did finally get one and I made him a pet, so. But I never saw a cat since then without a tail, like none of them had tails.
Yeah, Maxis.
Is that what they are?
Good one,
So just funny cat story. But thank you to everybody who worked on the cats, greatly appreciate it.
Anything else?
Nope.
No? Okay, let's go the other way. Councilman Clark, Councilwoman.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Heist,
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Dash.
I'd like to thank our chief for hiring an officer, Benjamin Springer, greatly appreciated. I'm glad you did your due diligence to get him over from Break the Team. And also I'd like to thank council for supporting the CAP program.
And that's something that we talked about at the ordinance, correct? Or we don't need to change anything in the ordinance for that?
No.
That will be up to ordinance.
Okay. All right, Councilman Derby,
I don't have anything there.
Councilman Timbers.
I just want to say, congratulations to our mayor.
Thank you.
Great job over the last 12+ years. Also to our chief, one of the things that when you come up, you always talk about is training for your officers, and I think that's awesome. So I support that. Thank you for that. And I think this is like Women's Month. You know,
Women's
March?
History Month.
Women's History.
Women's History Month.
Okay, well, I want to celebrate all women. Thank you.
Oh.
Great job, all of you.
Past and present.
Yeah, past and present, that's right.
Anything else? Okay. Councilwoman Hesse.
I just wanted to say, there's students from Cedar Creek Art Club, well, not club, but art class, are painting the rain barrel that has been at the log cabin for how many years? Nanette put it out there with,
5 years.
for the green team, yeah. So what we did is it was starting to fade. And I asked them if they would do it again, and they did. They're working on it right now. It's looking great. So by the end of the month, it should be back. So I just wanted to mention that and thank them.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Galloway.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. Don't overdo it.
Why?
You only live once.
Councilman Wright.
Just a couple things, T-ball signups and flag football signups will start next Wednesday when I get back from Nashville, so I gotta leave in 6 hours. So from 6:30 to 7:30. Also, I'm not sure if I brought this up last meeting or the meeting before, but I know I brought it up. Did we ever send code over to the Sunoco place and get these lights checked out or what?
Yeah, they just got Jackie.
I mean, you can see this place from space.
See the lights, okay.
We have to change it. We have to get an ordinance.
I mean, you gotta put a pair of sunglasses on when you drive by the place.
There has to be an ordinance.
The only reason is because somebody brought it up to me the other day at Fastwell, and I keep forgetting about it and.
But it is NJDOT,
Uh-huh.
not us.
Oh, okay, so I don't.
But, I mean, they report it, so.
Yeah, it's like.
I wasn't sure to bring it up whether it was engineer's problem or I didn't want to put it on his burden.
You might be able to fit it under land use, because there's a section that regulates site lighting. You know, you can make an argument that that's not site lighting, it's building illumination, but all of your lighting standards require to eliminate glare and I'm trying to think what the technical term is, essentially light emitting past the property.
Envelope, the
Yeah, it's all
envelope.
supposed to be like shielded and, directed down, not out. So obviously all those light bulbs are facing directly out, so you might, I could talk to Steve, we can look at the ordinance to see if we can identify a section that we think would be applicable to the way that lighting is.
I think there's another one in Absecon too,
Yeah,
right on the right side.
Township.
Yeah. Oh, I Agricultural Township is right by my office. But I-
Same.
Meter that you could,
Yeah.
it's too, like, because I know you have it in the ordinance.
Yeah,
If it's
there's,
too many,
well,
whatever.
ironically, there's a minimum number of things that you have to have on the site for various things for parking. I imagine the DOT has standards for glare emitting from a site on a state highway.
They don't have a championship, they just do it by.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, that's what they put.
Yeah.
That's, they.
Okay,
They're rare.
Yeah, it's pretty,
Yeah.
they like wrap the
They go
building
by.
in place that just.
Yeah, the shoes lights, you know.
I saw.
Yeah.
Well, they were closed for.
Anything else? Are you done?
No, but yeah, I got one other thing. Mayor just brought it to my attention and I totally forgot, but I want to give a big shout out to Egg Harbor City Community boys and girls for winning the championship this year.
So
Uh,
they'll be here next month.
So
We're gonna.
I think this is their,
This month, right? Community school.
yeah, probably there's, I want to say there's 6 championships since the community school, correct? 7th and 8th, or they do 6th, 7th and 8th.
So they'll be here the
Basketball.
27th to be recognized. So
Mhm.
hopefully everybody could show up for
Mhm.
that.
Someone's on that.
Okay, I don't
want.
I just, one other thing though, one other thing, just so everybody knows that, now we're talking about, appreciating women and everything. This is Egg Harbor City's first girls basketball team to ever win a championship. This way, Yeah.
I just wanted to ask one other thing. I know the chief brought something up as far as not being able to put the light, the speed light on the White Horse Pike. Would that have anything? Would there be any way to tie anything like that with,
With the lighting situation?
yes?
Yeah, it's hanging up right next to it.
You know,
Well,
yeah, exactly.
put it in the front, they'll never see it. I don't know if there is, you don't.
It's a state road.
Yeah, I think that has more to do with
Mhm.
enforcement there and distractions along, but yeah,
But it is a
sort of sits in the
distraction.
same vein. Yeah, I agree, that's what I said, we'll
Might
reach
not
out to
be
DOT
blinking
and try to figure out
yet.
what their rules are.
Mhm.
But I do think there's some in the city ordinance that you probably lean on to get. that.
Yeah, if they just dim them down a little bit, it's.
Well, that's, I think I said something a while ago about, just shielding them essentially.
Yeah.
Right now, you're just
I think they
staring
need-
directly at the LED bulb. If you put a translucent material on it that has some level of opacity to it, to just diffuse that light a little bit, that would make a big difference, but it's,
You're gonna talk to Steve about that? You will
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. we'll try to identify.
Is there anyone from the public wish to be heard?
I like the lights.
They don't blind you.
Helps you see, ma'am, can you come to the microphone?
Yeah.
Say your name and your address. Anyone else? No. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, second.
All in favor? Yeah. We made a motion in
You really want.
Good night, everyone.
Give her credit. Yeah.
All in favor?
Very nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Good one, just that bad. Well, you weren't here.
Yeah.